Yo, what is going on, you guys? This is your boy Aries from Aries Game Productions, and this stream is going to be a little bit different as have been the past couple of my other streams, just because there's so much stuff going on in the world of gaming that, and especially here recently with a scene that I really love, that I've loved for a long time. You guys, you probably watching my streams have probably thought that originally I was just kind of a Sony PS or PlayStation guy, but it's actually not entirely true. Some of my stuff, you know, that I played when I was younger was a lot of the Sony stuff, but me and a couple buddies of mine were really into Super Smash Bros. When we played it on 64, I used to rent it at the movie stop or the movie theaters. There was actually for those of you who are younger, there actually used to be stores where you would have to go and rent games if you didn't already buy them, and that was where that was the only game I rented from the store. I would just rent Super Smash Bros. 64, and I would play that, and then me and my buddies kind of transitioned from that to Melee, to Brawl, to Smash for Wii U, which I have, and of course Smash Ultimate, which I have too, with the Switch. So I don't have the internet with the Switch, otherwise I may have wanted to post some videos on the Switch, but Nintendo's Wi-Fi is really crappy, so most of the Nintendo games I kind of just play on my own if I ever feel like playing them out. Like, I played Smash a couple of days ago just to kind of, you know, make sure my skills aren't rusty in case I need to pull out the Smash weapon on some folks every now and then, and Press It Hard will vouch for that, MPT Monster. Not necessarily Bob, because he hasn't seen me play, but that can be arranged real quick. But anyway, so this video is a little bit lighter with probably how I'm going to be addressing it, but not definitely the subject matter is not light. It does involve things about sexual assault and pedophilia. And just some things about the FGC in general. You know, if you haven't heard already, there's some other really good videos out there. But I'm just making this for my channel, just so you know I have a place to kind of speak my mind and talk about it, because I'll have all these thoughts that have been kind of culminating in my mind, and I really didn't get a chance to do that. I went back to visit some folks for 4th of July. So this is basically my first chance to really kind of dive into the topic and go into some details on it. Again, some of the details are kind of graphic, so if you have, I guess, whatever you want to call them, trigger warnings, or if you're very sensitive to the topic, then I would advise you don't watch this video, because I would be talking about it with not a whole lot of filter. So if you're not used to that, then you should probably steer away from this video. Everyone else, welcome to the stream. Let's get into it. So, over the last week, or not really even over the last week, just past couple days, some information came out from the Smash Bros. Community, a community that I love and that I've been following really since about 2013 to 2014. Not because of even the Smash documentary, which I believe came out in 2014 or 2015, but I just been following it just because I wanted to see if there's like a scene for it. Turns out there is, and there's a scene that's been going on for it pretty much since the game's inception. They really didn't get big on MLG and stuff until about 2005, 2006, and then the scene was nearly killed off by Brawl, because of the controversies between Brawl's gameplay and Melee's gameplay, and then had a revival. There's actually a tournament called the Revival of Melee. And it's all this is in a documentary series that's on Smash. I highly encourage you guys to watch the documentary if you haven't. It's a fantastic documentary. It's well done and gives a lot of good vantage points on some of the top players, or how the scene has changed over time. And it's even maybe the esports league and stuff like that, they put videos on it too. So they even have one for the stuff that we're about to talk about. So, but there's some information that came out. It has mostly, actually, some of the bigger allegations have been either admitted to or confirmed by some pretty good evidence, what it looks like so far. But There are basically some smashers who, or even some commentators, smashers, and top players, and people even in part of company leagues that have been accused of sexual assault, grooming, trying to have sex, and sometimes having sexual actions with minors. Some of these, the most famous one that's been kind of out right now is a player named Puppe, and he was 14 at the time. A commentator by the name of Senpai, she used to go by Cinnamon, but she basically groomed him. He was 14, started to flirt with him, some of the stories are basically her chasing him into a back room or whatever, making out with him, and then them hanging out a lot, to what Puppe claims that it escalated as far as oral sex, but nothing after that. And but keep in mind, this is 14, when he was 14, and she was, I think, 24 going on 25. And so that story has had some good evidence for that. I know some smashers, I think Kitaro and Nairo had basically pretty much admitted to this, as Kitaro's, he put a response to the allegations against him, and I think basically confirmed it. We don't really know too much about the Nairo case yet, since Nairo has pretty much deleted his social media accounts and sent a message to another prominent smasher. I believe it was either Void or Samsora. He sent a message to Samsora calling him by his real name, which he's never done before, and telling him basically, "This is it for me, goodbye." And shortly after that, canceled his social media accounts and stuff like that. Some other prominent people in the Melee community have been addressed too. West Balls, The Moon, Mewtwo King. Although the allegations against Mewtwo King appear to be absolutely false, because of certain physical dilemmas that Mewtwo King has. Mewtwo King he's on the spectrum of some type of Asperger's that he has, basically autism. It's a form of autism. And there are some people who people speculate in history who have been famous names in history that might have had Asperger's and stuff like that. Mewtwo King has kind of shown signs of it, so I don't know if he's been officially diagnosed with it. He may have, but I do know that like some people in the scene have pretty much self-diagnosed him with Asperger's, and but he has a story that is really hurtful to even listen to if you go onto his channel where he addresses the allegations against him. Basically talking about how when he was circumcised, he I hope everybody knows what circumcision is that's listening to this, but he was basically circumcised. It was a botched circumcision, and that's why he cannot feel any type of sexual pleasure or anything like that goes along with sex. I'm pretty sure he actually can't get erect or anything like that. So of course, just based off of that, the allegations don't really have anything on that, and I'm pretty sure the person who came out with the allegations apologized on Twitter, basically saying, I'm sorry for having done this to you. So the allegations against Mewtwo King are definitely false. The ones West Balls was about West Balls and Mango's girlfriend at the time, and who's, I think, really never liked West Balls, but has made some allegations against him. And Mango actually messaged him on Twitter and said, "Hey, we're going to take care of this thing privately." So we really don't know anything about that, because apparently him and Mango are kind of having a talk about that. And Mango, for those of you who know Mango on Twitch or just in the scene, Mango's a pretty fun-loving guy, but I have a feeling he's not going to be. That's not a fun-loving conversation that they probably had behind closed doors. But it's so Senpai, Nairo, Kitaro, D1. D1's allegations are more inclined to some allegations of rape that happened while he was at a party drinking too much, and apparently the girl that he was with was drinking too much as well. So the stories are kind of she said type of deal, but I don't know if that's been corroborated by other people or not. So there's that, and of course some probably the bigger news that people have actually seen on the esports news, which is that EVO 2020 is canceled because one of the allegations has been made against Joey Cuellar, who I think is pretty much was the acting, the reigning head of EVO for many years, and there have been some stories that have come out about him that have been kind of disturbing to listen to, about trying to solicit basically pictures of people who were underage at the time, sending them pictures of their genitals, sending them pictures of them, whether it's ejaculation pictures or whatnot, and basically sending it to him or to his email, or just his phone, whichever one it was. Who gives a shit? But basically, that's what a lot of this stuff has kind of come down and boiled down to, is that. And of course, there have been kind of a wide array of responses from people on YouTube about this, and I encourage you to look up some of those videos as well. They go into a little bit more detail, but just as a fact out of respect to the people who have been who are dealing with that, I'd rather not cause more attention to the victims than I am to the accusers. The only reason I mentioned Puppet is because he was the first one that it looked like had come out to do this, and his story is kind of circulated on the internet, so his name's kind of already out there. Some of the other names I won't go into, just because, again, not to draw attention to them. It needs to be about the accusers and what they've done, and for some part what they admitted to. Many people who considered the greatest player that has ever played Smash, Zero, came out with an apology for his actions, that it seems like that he's kind of taken in a similar light with trying to basically get in bed with these bunch of minors, or sharing illicit material with minors, etc., etc. But this story really kind of, and a bunch of the other stories that have come out with other players too. I just kind of gave a list of things that I remembered off the top of my head, but there's more stories that involved other people in the communities, or just in the Smash community. And now the FGC, because of the EVO thing, EVO being canceled because of this. And so I've got a couple things just to say on this. Number one, it's good that EVO's been canceled, because this shows that people are taking it seriously. People have withdrawn their games. The creators, the developers of the game, have withdrawn their game from being shown at EVO, or from being, I think, even being played at EVO. So some of those are Mortal Kombat. Ed Boon came out on Twitter and said, I stand with the victims. We are pulling MK11. Nintendo came out and said they're disgusted with what's been happening in the Smash community. We're not there that they in no way support, anything wrong that's been going on in the community. The weird thing about Smash is that Nintendo's never really gotten behind the Smash scene, so they've always kind of stayed at arm's length, and I imagine after this they're going to keep themselves further away from the community, which I'm not sure is going to hurt or help them, because the Smash Bros. Community has always been kind of grassroots. It's never really been Nintendo sponsored. So there's been that. So number one, it's a good thing that it's being canceled for this year, because there's too much stuff going on right now, honestly, where a fighting game tournament takes precedence over serious things that serious human beings should be taking seriously, or just even people who have a conscience. So glad that's being canceled, honestly. It's been a highlight of the things that have been brought to light, and people who aren't getting away with this kind of stuff anymore are not allowed to do that. And if there have been allegations against him, they've had a new person step in as the chair for EVO and as an organizer. So hopefully there's nothing sketchy about this asshole, and with unlike the other guy with Joey Cuellar, and and hopefully it'll stay that way forever. Nobody can guarantee that. I know they can't, because there's tons of stuff that happens when the cameras aren't rolling, or even when people are watching. That's why you always, the lesson I got taught was you always try to do the right thing when no one's looking. And this is especially the case for things that go on in behind closed doors or behind stuff. We're even trying to get people in the bedroom, for that matter. And I know nobody wants to really talk about that kind of stuff, but in these situations, yeah, you better believe it's time to it's time to come to terms with some of the stuff that's been going on. And I don't want to get political about it. This isn't a right or left thing. If somebody gets raped, it's not a are you a Republican or a Democrat? Somebody's been raped, and that goes beyond, transcends the differences that you have with people. But as far as the allegations made against the people who have come forward with stuff like this, it's been extremely tough, because I looked at some of these players myself for their skill in the game. I would go and occasionally watch their streams and stuff, and they don't really talk about all this sort of stuff, obviously, but you get the sense that they're just normal people just trying to play a video game for a good bit of money. And for a long time, that's what it seems like it was. But now, now that we know these things, that doesn't seem to be the case. And in the case of Captain Zack and Nairo, it definitely seemed to be the case that there was actual hush money involved, where some bank receipts were shown of money being transferred from Nairo's account to Captain Zack's account, basically as hush money. And I have some mixed feelings about Captain Zack, personally. I've seen some of the way that he's acted on some of the tournaments and stuff, and well, he obviously didn't get popular because he played a very broken ass character in the game. Nobody liked this kid. I get you. He was a villain by and by, and he's already had some stuff come up with another player, Ally, that happened, some time ago. I don't know if it was a year or two ago that some of that stuff came out, but definitely was something to kind of shook your head at. And then that was the worst, but probably one of the worst things that the community had faced was that there were some kind of creepy things going on with that. And some of the higher players like Leffen have, heard some rumors about what Senpai, was doing and stuff like that. Not just him, and there are plenty of other top players who probably heard rumors, but, probably thought that they were just rumors. Well, doesn't look like that's the case anymore. It looks like that it's real. And that's what's probably the most shocking thing for me, at least, is that this is real, and it's not a fucking joke. It's not an April Fool's joke. It's not a it's Happy 4th. Here's a bunch of sexual assault allegations. No, they came out. They had evidence for the most part for most of the stories. It seems like it's credible evidence, corroborated by not just one or two people, but vast amounts of other people who have come forward. Another one who kind of came forward with some stories about him that's kind of disturbing but not really proven is Anti. He was a big Mario player, I know, back in the day, and switched around some of the characters, but mainly known for playing Mario. And some kind of things were said about him that I don't know if they'd been confirmed, but definitely some troubling stories that come from that. And which just makes me wonder if it's just the Smash community, because if it's the FGC community that's been doing this, like people who've been playing Tekken, Soul Calibur, what I'm showing right now, Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom, Samurai Showdown, Mortal Kombat, Injustice, all these games, King of Fighters, just to name a few of them. But it's been a roller coaster, because like I said, I've looked up some of these players a long time for their skill, and you know, watching their highlight reels and stuff, and even watching them just on live tournaments that I used to watch. I used to go on the tournaments they stream and watch the full things, for whether it's top 64, top 32, top 8, you know, things like that, or top 16. There's a funny thing about EE. You guys watch EE top 16? You in top 16? But it feels even bad to even quote some of the commentators now, because some of the commentators are in trouble. So you know. It feels like most of the videos that I went back and watched, it feels like some of those memories got tainted by some of the stuff that we know that they've done now. And no one has been arrested yet. No one's had any charges. There's no legal action that's been taken against them. But to go back into some of my points here, you know, I wouldn't necessarily say they're getting what they deserve, but they're being put in positions where hopefully they will never, ever be able to use what they had to exploit people from now on, and people who were young. Like, people who go to these Smash tournaments, they aren't all 22, 23-year-olds. These are, you know, 12-year-olds and 14, 16 people who are not of legal age to consent. And they've had some, you know, definitely just looking at the stories. There's a Twitlonger that you can go on certain people's pages, so you can see where they've had all these conversations with people, with individuals like this. And it's truly disturbing, and it has definitely opened my eyes to, again, the very capricious nature of certain individuals and people in general. And I know I've talked on the stream before about how I think people will do whatever it takes to get on top. This is one of those examples of people doing whatever it takes to climb over bodies, to get fame, to get money, to get power in a community, and to basically keep it quiet. And it's only because of people who are not willing to let that happen come forward and telling their stories. And not just telling their stories, but in this case, evidence. And sorry to say that I'm not even really sorry to say, I'm glad to say that the evidence for these monsters have been, you know, in the cases where the people have admitted it, basically, have come out and said, you know, I did these things, and I will be taking a break from social media, I apologize. Like anybody believes that apology, but let's just say we do. And let's just say that we do hope that they can find some way to get help and truly get the help that they need. But yeah, I don't know what's next for the my other point is that I don't know what's next for the Smash community, but I know some things they're talking about already, some things that they can change. I don't know if it's going to be, you know, separating players on an age level, because I don't know, you know, as far as just exciting things, exciting upsets, exciting matches, I don't know if you're going to be able to do that and still keep the same type of hype that you would for a community. But let's just say they do that in this case. That's one thing they could do. I don't know if they're going to go towards that. I know a lot of people in the community are kind of shying away from that idea of, you know, making it a age division, where some people do that. Some other fighting games do that, but Smash has never been like that, because Smash is pretty much loved, and loved by a lot of people who are younger, who are really good at the game and really compete very well. Example I use was Bomb Soldier. Bomb Soldier was a Japanese melee player who played Falco and revolutionized the way that people play that character. And I think he was, what, 10 at the time? And he almost beat the best player in the world. He was just some kid from Japan, and he almost beat who was considered at the time the best player in the world. I mean, just stuff like that. I mean, so I don't know if it's going to be keeping the kids away from the game. I think it's going to be making sure that people who aren't kids are keeping a close eye on the kids that are there. You know, it's going to be kind of an accountability on the community's part, which is scary too, because you never know what type of monsters you have in the community, as we've seen. And that's just not goes for the Smash community. That goes for any type of environment they are in. You know, seeing things like that happen, and you know, people keeping it quiet or people hearing rumors, and you know, that's the end of it. But I'm truly disgusted at a scene that I thought was, you know, a bunch of just people loving the game and loving a game that I've grown to love so much. I've bought all the DLC stuff for Smash Ultimate. I've done all the DLC for Smash 4. I played the crap out of Smash 4 with a buddy of mine in college. I played the crap out of Ultimate with buddies of mine outside of school. And even when I was in school, hell, right when I got out of diapers, I was still playing Melee. So, you know, I wasn't competing in Melee, but I've to this day, I still love Melee. Melee has a special place in my heart as one of the greatest games I've ever played, and it's definitely not because of just the game itself, it's because of the way that I got treated by the people who did play it, and how every time I played Melee, it was always just a joy to play. And or anytime I got to play Smash, it was just a fun time, because Smash can be used as a party game. And you get a bunch of people on the sticks, and it's hilarious to see people just dive off the stage and not know what they're doing, and you know, somebody's girlfriend beats them with Pichu, you know, the worst character in the game, arguably, and just flat out beats their boyfriend at it. Like, it's funny to watch that kind of stuff. And that's what Smash lets you do. It lets you have the most fun that you can possibly have with the people that you want to have fun with, and it's fantastic. Fighting games have usually not been about that. Fighting games are usually about, you know, who's competitors and who's going to be the best and stuff like that. But the communities around there have usually been, you know, really good, and the people who have gotten big time followers and influence from being the best, you know, have for the majority of the part used their stuff to grow the community, and it's been awesome to see that. So. But, you know, I heard, and I watched Leffen's video not too long ago talking about it wasn't a bad day for Smash, it was a good day. And I think to an extent he's right. I think it's a good day that people who were abusing people in the scene are getting called out for it, and hopefully will never return to the community. I think they're, I don't know, part of me wants to believe that they can come back, but another part of me wants them to stay the hell away. And in it right now, the camp that I'm leaning towards is having them stay away from the community forever, not being involved in anything with Nintendo, not being involved with anything with the community, not being involved with anything with and getting money off streamers or people who go to Twitch and want to see them stream. I don't want them to get any money from it. So, you know, the Zero thing kind of hurts too, because you see his story and where he came from, and, you know, struggling to get to the U.S., and, you know, then becoming the best player in the world. You know, that's making me sad that he basically got to throw that all away, and now getting investigated for, or at least, you know, getting called out, maybe not even investigated, but getting called out for allegations against him. So, you know, I know a lot of this does stem from the consequences from the Me Too eras, and which is still going on. It's not stopped. It's kind of declined, but, you know, the consequences of the Me Too are still going. And this is a case where it has worked. You know, it has worked phenomenally, and the people who shouldn't be in these positions anymore are not being allowed to be in those positions anymore. So I think it's a very good thing either way. Either however you want to splice it up. People who are grooming 14-year-olds and underage people and then trying to have sex with them just to have a good night are being called out for what it is, an egregious destruction of someone's mental health and someone's physical well-being in some cases, and being basically being predators. And that's let's not get it twisted. That's what they are. They're child predators. They're hunting down children, trying to have sex with them, or to engage in sexual acts with them. And anybody who does this should hide their face and weep, and should have all the scrutiny went toward their way. And that's basically it. I mean, that's basically what it should be and what it can be. So, and that's what my belief is for right now. You know, is that, and hopefully there will be some stories that come out. You know, maybe some of the allegations will be false. You know, with some of the iffier ones, because there's some that we don't know about, and there's some evidence that's not been presented for some of the cases. So we do have to kind of be vigilant and pay attention to some of the stuff that goes on. If you're interested in the FGC like I am, and have been following it for years, and you know, I wouldn't even consider myself a member of the community because I haven't gone to any of those events, but I'm kind of a community member in spirit because I love watching the things, and love watching the events, and love watching all the stuff that comes out for them. So that's kind of my 2 cents on it, but I don't want the video to go on for too long because again, there are much better videos out there that cover a whole lot of it, more than I do. Go check out those videos. I'm for you to go actually read the twit-longers from all the cases that have been reported, and make your own judgments on it. But that's just from my judgment on it. And I think some of the evidence that you'll see, or some of them, is unfortunately overwhelming in the cases of certain members of that community. But I know just from the things that have been going on in the FGC and in the Smash community, and with the things that have been going on around the world, I know it's kind of hard to find a good a good sense of how not to feel disgusted at it, but there's not. I mean, you should. And you should definitely feel a sense of disgust in what has kind of transpired, and what we know things have transpired now. So, but I'll leave the stream here. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you found the video to be good, me talking about some of these issues, make sure to like, comment, subscribe if you want to. I know this is definitely not the video to do that, so I don't blame a single person that listens to this if you definitely don't want to, or hell, even if you want to unsubscribe, that's perfectly fine with me too. But I couldn't give a damn. And the things that have kind of gone on with this have, in my opinion, gone on for too long. So, but I hope to see you guys next time on a very much more cheery stream. And I hope you guys stay safe, keep away from the virus, and stock up on the food and toilet paper, because people are still robbing the toilet paper out there. Don't know why, but people are they're still gunning for the toilet paper at the store. So be careful on that. But I'll see you guys next time. Peace, deuces, farewell.